Perfect. Great. So again, just one last time, thank you all so much for joining us. My name is Grace Smith. I work with Durham's Partnership for Children, who is one of the partners in the Durham PreK initiative. And this is our first family info session of this 2022-2023 application year. So today we are going to just learn more about Durham PreK and how you all can apply. Just a few housekeeping details first. As I said, we are recording this webinar and the link will be available on the website, which is durhamprek.org, as well as it will be shared via email with you all after this session in case you would like to go back and access the information. Please be sure to remain muted throughout the presentation portion. Once we reach the breakout portion of the event, you can feel free to unmute yourself because you'll be able to ask our partners questions individually. And just as I said, immediately following this, we will have Q&A sessions in smaller breakout rooms. So please save all of your questions for that time. If you happen to drop them in the chat later or earlier in the session during the presentation, we may lose that question. So just be sure if you do drop it in the chat to remember what that question was so that we can go back in that whatever room would be applicable for that question and ask it there. I am going to release a quick poll. It is just 2 quick questions if you would be able to answer that. And then one last thing just about our breakout rooms after the presentation. Again, you get to ask our partners more specific questions. And there will be instructions at the end of the presentation for how you can enter certain breakout rooms and which topics will be discussed. So if you all are able to answer that poll question. Great, just a few more seconds to answer that poll if you would be willing to, and then we will move on into our presentation. Okay, thank you all so much. We do just want to give a heads up that we are going to be hosting another family info session in April. We're still determining the date and that will be shared afterwards, but we would love for you all to join us, especially because today we're going to be covering an overview of Durham PreK. We're going to walk through the application and how to apply, go over those required documents, and touch more about Durham Public Schools and when you need to apply for them and what other requirements you have. And then in April, we're going to go into a deeper details about how to indicate your site preference, how to accept a placement once you get that, more about our selection and enrollment process, how to ensure a smooth transition to pre-K, and the transfer process. So some of these topics we will touch on today, but just want you to know in April, we're going to go into a deeper dive and would love for you all to join us. So today we're going to do introductions of our team. We're going to go over our overview, and then we're going to go through the Durham PreK application, walking through filling one out together. We're going to touch on what to expect after you submit an application, and then we will enter our breakout rooms. And so here you see our 5 breakout rooms. The first room will be any questions that you still have about the application after we walk through this together. The second room is going to be specifically about those income documents. The third one will be covering your proof of birth and proof of address documents. And the fourth one will be enrollment and selection process questions. And then the fifth one will be any questions you have for our Durham Public Schools representatives. So we are, the Durham PreK team is going to take some time to introduce ourselves. So again, my name is Grace Smith. I'm the outreach specialist at Durham's Partnership for Children.
Good morning. I am Jamaica Wells. I am the NC Pre-K Program Manager with Durham's Partnership for Children.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenna Fuchs, and I'm the Durham Pre-K Manager for CCSA.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathy Toro Guerrero, and I'm the Family Services Coordinator for CCSA.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Katie Thayer. I am the Communications and Outreach Coordinator at Child Care Services Association.
Good morning, I'm Kristen Hernandez, and I am a bilingual family support counselor at Child Care Services Association.
Good morning. My name is Tosh Adams, and I am the Outreach and Family Engagement Coordinator for Durham PreK at CCSA.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Humphrey. I am the Universal Programming Facilitator for Durham Public Schools.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kate Elander, and I work for Durham County as our Early Childhood Coordinator.
Good morning. My name is Shirley Brooks. I'm the Recruitment Manager for Families and Communities Rising, Early Head Start, Durham and Orange County.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ingrid Nunes. I'm the bilingual family engagement for Community Rising, Family Community Rising, Early Head Start in Durham.
Great. And I think that is everyone. If we missed anyone, they can speak now, but I believe those were all of our representatives of the different programs that work together on this Durham PreK initiative. So we're going to go into an overview of Durham PreK. So Durham PreK is Durham's local investment in high quality early childhood experiences. So Durham County used Durham PreK to enhance the existing pre-K seats, and it expands access to all 4-year-olds in Durham County. So of course, this means in order to apply, children must be on or before August 31st of 2022, and they must be a resident of Durham County. Durham PreK is free for all families that are 400% at or below the federal poverty level. Families above this level would contribute a sliding scale monthly parent fee based on their income and family size. And we have a complete chart of the parent fees and of families who would not have to contribute any parent fees available on the Durham PreK website. We will be sharing links to all of these. Anything that's in the presentation that has a link, we'll be sharing this after the presentation with you all. But that is just for you all to know that we do have a chart that you are able to look up and know ahead of time if you may have to contribute a parent fee. So why pre-K and why specifically Durham PreK? Well, children who attend pre-K, it increases their likelihood of reading on grade level in 3rd grade, and it increases development and use of social skills. And we have found that play-based learning is an effective way for children to learn, to prepare them for kindergarten, and to develop their social emotional skills. And each Durham PreK site, they must be a 5-star childcare center. They must have lead teachers that have or are working towards a birth to kindergarten license. Our teachers and our sites receive weekly technical assistance, so coaching and mentoring from our staff. And Durham PreK follows a higher teacher compensation requirements in order to make sure that we have truly high quality teachers in each of our sites. So our site list will be available in mid to late April for the 2022-2023 school year. We are still in the process of selecting sites for this upcoming year. Once your application is submitted, you will be sent a site preference form, and as a family, you can indicate your preference in the type of site, whether that is a private site, a Head Start site, or a Durham Public School site. You can also indicate your preference of location, whether you would be placed close to home or close to work. So those are two of the preferences that you get to indicate after your application is submitted. So now we're going to go through the Durham PreK application. So our Durham PreK application allows families to complete just one application and be considered for all publicly funded pre-K seats in Durham County. So as we've mentioned before, all of these seats would be in Durham Public Schools classrooms, Durham Head Start classrooms, and community-based licensed programs. So again, those are the private 5-star rating childcare facilities. And those are that is what you are considered for when you apply. The application will be available online at the Durham PreK website, and it will be available this upcoming Tuesday, February the 8th. And again, our application process is completely online, but we do have structures in process to make sure that families are able to submit an application with our assistance. And we will go over how you can receive our assistance with applying at the end of this presentation. And we encourage families that you should apply by May the 13th if you would like to be considered for all of the available slots. So May the 13th is the last day to apply to be considered to be placed in a Durham Public Schools classroom. But all of our other pre-K seats do not have a deadline to apply. If you want to be considered for every slot that we have available, May the 13th is the day that you want to apply by. And so I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie to go over more information about Durham Public Schools.
So as Grace just stated, our application deadline for completed applications is May 13th. If you do apply on or after May 13th, I cannot guarantee that you'll receive the screening that is needed to be eligible for our program. To determine eligibility, we do a screening, which is a parent questionnaire. We'll ask you questions about your child's social emotional development and self-help and just some overall concerns you may have for your child. And we'll use that data to determine if they're eligible for our Durham Public Schools pre-K classroom. We do take the scores from the parent questionnaire. We rank them in file order. And based on that screening score, your child will be eligible and be placed in a Durham Public Schools classroom. We do rate the score from highest to lowest, highest meaning your child has a greater need and has they'll probably be placed within our classroom. And as the score is lower, their eligibility does decrease, but the possibility is still there. Eligible children are placed in a location closest to your home address. I wanted that to be clear, home address. Placement is made through our offices only. So you must again complete the application on durhamprek.org, take the screening, and then you'll be determined, then that will determine if you're eligible. So if you do go to Durham Public Schools website and try to register through Power Schools, it won't work that way. It must be done through our office only. Your location preferences will be considered, excuse me, but they are not guaranteed. Like if you have an older child at a Durham Public Schools, we will definitely take that into consideration and try our very best to place that child in that pre-K program if we have one at that school and if they're eligible, but I just cannot guarantee that. But we will, I promise you, we'll do our best. We currently do not offer transportation or before and after school for our program. So families, you must provide transportation to and from the Durham Public Schools classroom. Any additional questions you have will be answered during the breakout session. So feel free to fire away those questions. And I have some support here to answer those for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. And again, as you said, just to reiterate, all of your questions, we will be answering them in those breakout rooms. So be sure to join the Durham Public Schools room if you have a question for Stephanie. So the documents that you will need for a Durham Pre-K application will be a birth certificate or a proof of birth, proof of address, just to ensure that you are a resident of Durham County, and proof of income. And this would be 1 month's worth for the entire household. There are other documents that may be requested when you're completing the application, and examples of those are available at our Family Frequently Asked Questions site on the Durham Pre-K website. And again, all of these links will be shared if you have more questions. But some of those documents are related to if you indicate that your child has a chronic health condition, we would be asking for documentation, or other instances like that, that is just what those extra documents may be. And again, you will have the opportunity to ask if you do have questions about those other documents. You can feel free to join our first room and they would be able to answer that question. So these are just some examples of the documents that we would accept. So for the proof of birth or to prove your child's age, that could be a birth certificate, medical records, or a valid passport. If this instance does apply to you, you would need to provide proof of legal guardianship, legal custodianship, or foster care when that is applicable to you. For proof of address, some of the documents that we would accept are a utility bill, ensuring that one of the two, if there are two primary guardians or guardians in the household, ensuring one of those names is the name that appears on the utility bill. A valid lease with a signature is also accepted. Your valid driver's license, as long as that is your current address on the driver's license, or a mortgage statement. Those are some things that we accept as proof of address. If a family is living with relatives, or if your name is not on the lease or utility bill of your address that you're residing at, all we would need is that utility bill and a letter from the person whose name is on the utility bill or lease, just a letter from them that states that the family resides at the address and ensuring that it is signed and dated. And of course, again, if you have questions about your proof of address, please feel free to join that room when we get to the breakout portion. For proof of income, again, ensuring this is 1 month's worth, we would accept pay stubs. So families who are paid bi-weekly or twice monthly, we would ask for 2 pay stubs. If families are paid weekly, we would need 4. We can accept a letter from the employer as long as the number of hours worked and the hourly rate is listed. And that also needs to be signed and dated. We can take tax returns or tax information. And then when applicable, families that are receiving unemployment benefits, we do ask that you provide proof of that, as well as child support letters. If that's applicable to your family, that is something else that we would ask for you to provide. And families that are not families or individuals who do not have any source of income on the application, you would be asked to sign a statement of no income as your proof of income. And we just ask you to provide a brief explanation of why, and then provide a signature. So we are going to transition into walking through our application together. So let me pull this up on my screen. I'm going to stop the share really quickly and transition that. Okay. So now we are going to go through as if we were completing an application together for Durham PreK. So this is the homepage of our application. As you see, we have highlighted that May 13th deadline again that we really want families to be aware of. The eligibility requirements and any other things, just the important things that we think of that we would like to highlight for placement. So you will be prompted to either register or log in. I already have an email and just account with SurveyMonkey Apply, so I clicked log in, but as a family who, if you do not have an account, you would just click register at the top and you'll just be asked to provide your name, an email, and create a password. So I'm going to click log in, and this is what I will see is that I have no applications started at this point. So I'm going to click view programs. And as you can see, we are still currently accepting applications for this school year. So if your child is eligible for the 2022-2023 school year, just be sure to select that application. And this provides more information about our school day, how long our program runs, again, May 13th as the deadline, and it also has the information on our sliding scale fee, what documents you're going to need to provide, and it has our email and our address, and it will take you about 20 to 30 minutes for this process. I am going to try to go through this relatively quickly, but you will just be asked to create an application for your child. And the first thing you're going to do is click the eligibility form, and you have to indicate, is your child a resident of Durham County? Yes. And then we need to make sure that your child's date of birth falls in between those dates at the top. So I will say February the 5th of 2018, and I will mark that as complete. Once I do that, this check mark, all of the new tasks will populate to the left because that means that my child is eligible to apply for Durham PreK. So the next thing you're going to do is click the child's information. You would click no if you're completing this application by yourself. If you are working with another staff member of an agency, that was where you would click yes. You'll put your home language, and again, put in your child's date of birth. Oops. And I will put my child's name, and then I will put their street address. So then we'll go through and indicate all of our demographic information for this next question about your citizenship status. As you see right here, your citizenship status does not affect your eligibility, but if you do leave it blank, what that means is you may be limited in your program options. So some programs require an answer to this question, but you are not required to, and it would not make you ineligible for Durham PreK. So I will quickly fill out my child's demographic information, my home language. And then here is where if you were to have more than one child who is applying for the 2022-2023 school year, you would be able to indicate that. But for today, I'm going to put that no, I only have one child who is applying. If I were to click yes, I would be asked to fill in the child's information and just say that it will create a multiple application, a duplicate of this application. But again, I'm going to click no. This is about our wrap care or before and after care for families who need that. So we ask if the availability is required for your family at your location. I will put no, that it is not required. And I will put that one parent or guardian is applying for the pre-K child contributes to the household income. Again, just ensuring if it's 2 parents, put the number 2. If it's more than that, just indicate that. So we have the check mark. That means that everything is complete and I didn't miss anything in this application. So next I will fill out the parent or guardian's information. And as you see, it does auto-populate based off of your account, the name on your account. I will put no one other than guardian 1 or 2 is on the birth certificate. My address is the same. This one isn't a new feature for Durham PreK, is do we have permission to text you related to your application placement and updates? I'm going to put yes. Again, families can put no if you would not like to be texted, but we are excited about that feature this year. And so I will put in my information and my date of birth. So if you remember, I put that only one parent is contributing to the income. For today's purposes, I'm going to act as if there is only one legal guardian in the household. But if there were 2, it's just that there would be a second guardian information that would auto-populate for you to fill out. So you'll be asked about your highest level of education, if a family is employed, and be sure to check all of these that apply to you as a parent. So if you are employed and in college or post-secondary education, when you click both of those, you'll just be asked to provide down here the name of the employer and also the name of the college that you are attending. So then you'll put your sources of income. Again, this is a indication. This is where you would indicate all of your different sources of income. So if I were to receive employment and child support, then I would down here be asked to indicate how frequently I receive each of those sources of income. Next, you'll be asked about if you're serving currently an active duty, and is there a second parent or guardian in the same home or elsewhere? As we stated today, I'm going to put no, but if you put yes, it just means that you have the opportunity to invite a second parent as a collaborator, and then you would be asked to complete information for a second primary guardian. Oh, and if, as you see right here, I missed something. So we will go back and take a look. Oh, I forgot to put the total number of hours that I worked. And so now it is complete. So then you will go through your child's health information, indicating if they're potty trained, if they receive health insurance, if you have a primary doctor, and a dentist. I'm going to indicate my child does not have a chronic health condition. If I put yes, that is where you would just be asked to provide documentation. Same for this question of if your child has an active IEP or private service plan, you'd be asked to provide that documentation. And if they receive special services, I would also be asked to provide that. So next we'll be asked to share about our child's education or childcare information. So I will put that my child is not receiving childcare financial assistance. Of course, if that does apply to you, please put yes. And I'll put that my child is on the wait list. Is your child currently enrolled in a preschool or childcare center? So if I were to put yes, it would ask me to indicate if it's a family, a childcare center, or a family childcare home. And based off of which one I select, I would then be putting the name of the program that my child attended. For today, I'm just going to click no. And the same thing will happen here. If your child has attended any sort of preschool or childcare program in the past 3 years, it will prompt you to indicate the name of that program. But for today's purposes, we're just going to mark no for all of those. And then we will go to our household information, where we'll be asked to indicate if we are in any sort of temporary or transitional living. I will put that we are not. But of course, please check any of these that apply to you. Then you would be asked to indicate an emergency contact. And so this should be anyone outside of the legal guardians. And you would just be asked to provide their name, their relationship to the child, and a phone number for them. And again, as you can tell from emergency contact, this is just if we are not able to get up with you, who is someone else that we can reach out to. For today, I'm just going to put no. Then we are going into the list of all of our household members. So you would put how many children under the age of 18 are living in the household. And you will first be asked to indicate the pre-K child's information. And we put that my child was not attending any school, so I will put NA. The relationship to the pre-K child, you could just put pre-K child. And then if there was another child in the household, again, I just put one, but this is where you would click for your second child. And please continue to add lines as you need until you reach the number of children under the age of 18 that are in your home. And the same information will happen for the adults. How many adults over the age of 18 are living in the household? And then your relationship to the pre-K child is that I was the mother. And then this is again where I would click to add another line for a second adult over the age of 18 in the household until I reach that number. So I will click this as mark as complete. And then we will go on to our certifications and acknowledgements. These we do ask, please read all of these items very carefully below. This is all about to make sure that you are okay with knowing that all of the information is true, that we will be sharing it within the pre-K programs with all of our partners, but not anywhere outside of that. Just again, that you understand all of these and click them as you read them to make sure that you understand all of these. We do want to draw attention specifically to this transportation piece, is that transportation is not provided for our pre-K programs and is the responsibility of the family. And that is why we do ask you to consider whether you would like to be placed in a site that's closer to your home or closer to your work. So once I have all of those, I'll be prompted to provide an electronic signature. And we do need a signature from every parent. So I will drag my mouse as a signature. And as you see, it does not have to be perfect. And I will mark that as complete. And so again, just drawing attention to the fact that we have all of our tasks have green check marks, which means we didn't miss anything. So now we get into a reminder of what documentation will need to be submitted. So again, the date of birth document, documentation of a Durham County address, and documentation of income. So if you all remember, I indicated that I was employed and also receiving child support, so I would provide proof of both of those. Next, this is our screening information. If you remember, Stephanie mentioned that there is a screening process to be considered for a slot in the Durham Public Schools. This is just asking you the best time of day to call you and asking for your contact information again. So I will put that the afternoon is the best time to call me and provide my email and phone number. So I will mark all of this as complete. And if you noticed at the bottom, this is an alert that if as soon as you click submit on your application and all of your required uploads are there, that is when you would not be able to make any other edits, and it will become, and all of those will become visible. So then after this, this is the last step of the application. So next is where I would click in to provide an upload of my child's proof of birth. And once I complete that, this is when the green circle would fill in as soon as I have something uploaded. If you need assistance, this is where you would go. You could call our pre-K help desk, or you can send your documents via email or in the mail to our office, and we would be able to upload them on your behalf. So there are ways to get your documents if you are not able to scan or take a picture of the document and upload that into your application. And same thing, if I needed to provide, I had indicated that there was someone else's name on the birth certificate, so I may be asked to upload additional guardianship paperwork, and all of these will fill in. So I would again click into this and upload that letter. And same with proof of address and proof of income. And so I don't have any documents to upload today, but we have completed the application. As soon as I upload those, I would have this button become green where I can click submit, and then it would come to our office. So I know that was a very brief walkthrough of the application, but I hope that was helpful for you all, and we will quickly return to the last part of our presentation before we go into those breakout rooms. So again, be sure to save all of those great questions that you have for our individual rooms. But now we will quickly go over just a brief overview of what to expect after you click submit on that application. So this is our timeline just for you all. So when the application opens again, February the 8th, 2022. After you submit your application, that is where your application is moving through our pre-K review process, and you'll receive email notifications as well as text notifications if you elect into those. You would also receive an email or a phone call if there is any missing documentation, asking for you to provide those documents and make sure that your application is complete. Site preferences will be able to be indicated at the end of April. So if you notice when we were walking through, I did not have the option to indicate my preferences. And again, that is because we are still in the process of selecting our sites. So towards the end of April, you will receive an email, and through SurveyMonkey Apply it states that you have a new task to complete. This is known as the 2022-2023 pre-K options task, and that is where you will indicate your preferences. So it will just be another, if you remember for the application, we had different portions of the application that we clicked into. On the left, This would just be another one that comes in at the end of April. If you, again, submit your application to be considered for all seats by May the 13th, after this, your application is on the wait list and it is ready to go until placement round, unless you receive a phone call or an email from us stating that we need more documentation from you, or if anything is missing in your application. So for our notifications, our first round of notifications typically occurs in mid to late June. If you do not receive a placement during this first round, your application still remains on the wait list, and all of our notifications will be sent via email. Our second round is in mid to late July. And again, if you don't receive a placement, it would still mean that your application is remaining on the wait list. And then we have rolling notifications until all of our seats are filled. And still, if you did not receive a placement, it just means that your application is still on our wait list and that you may receive a slot based off of availability. And then that would get us up to our first day of school, which is in August of 2022. I would like to point out that I know that this is very broad information. All of this information is what is going to be covered in the April Durham Pre-K Family Info Session. So be sure to join us, or try your best to join us for our April session, where we're going to go deeper into this information. Again, site preferences are going to be indicated beginning at the end of April, since we are still selecting our sites. And the site list will be released after April the 19th. You would indicate your site preferences when you receive that email that you have a new task to complete. You would log back into your SurveyMonkey Apply account, and you would complete that 2022-2023 Pre-K options task. Again, more specific information, and we will go through this process together in the April Durham Pre-K Family Info Session. After you accept a slot, you will receive a notification of your placement from our Durham Pre-K team through email. So if a family chooses to accept the placement that they are given first, you would receive an email from your respective site with more information that is specific to the site. So some examples: families who are placed in a Durham Public Schools classroom, you'll be given instructions on how to set up a Power School account for your pre-K child via a letter through the application system. And families who are placed in a Head Start classroom, they would be contacted by a family engagement specialist to complete some extra paperwork that is required for Head Start with the family engagement specialist. Families that are placed in our private sites can expect to hear from the site director about any other information or anything specific to their sites that they want the family to know. And families can still choose to decline the placement that they are given. That would just mean that your application would go back onto our wait list. And again, there's just no guarantee throughout the process that you would be able to get a site based off of our availability, but families do have the choice to decline any placement if they are not satisfied. And in speaking of that, families do have the option to transfer to a different site if they are not satisfied with their placement. And of course, again, this transfer is dependent upon availability of slots at any preferred site or at any of our other sites. So families would not be able to transfer into a classroom or into a pre-K site that is full. And our transfer process right now is initiated by emailing Jamaica Wells with that information. And in our April session, again, we will have more specific information of how to transfer. And so we hope that you're able to join us for that session. So we are going to enter into the breakout room portion of the event. So again, this is just a reminder of the different rooms. Each of the rooms are labeled for you to know what questions you would be able to ask I will also be in the main session if you need help being directed to different breakout rooms. You can jump between as many breakout rooms as you want to ask as many questions as you have. And this is just how you would join one. After I open the breakout rooms in your control panel, you would see this breakout rooms icon that you would click, and then you will have the list of rooms pop up where you'll be able to click join and then yes to confirm, and then it will put you into that respective breakout room. When you're ready to leave that room, you would click at the bottom. There's a label that says leave room, and then click again, leave breakout room. Just be sure to click leave breakout room if you want to switch into another room. If you click leave meeting, that will kick you out of the whole meeting in general. So we are going to go ahead and transition to our breakout room. Is the one who you would be reaching out to at our Durham PreK help desk. So with any questions you have, please call our 1-833-PreK-EDU number, or you can email us at prek@childcareservices.org. Some of the reasons you would reach out to us is to schedule a virtual application appointment, ask any questions about the application process. You can ask questions about your documents. If you need support in completing the application in a language other than English or Spanish, and that email is where you would email any of your missing documents for your application. So again, this phone number and email is your best tool for getting all of your questions answered. And again, we just thank you. I will release one last poll. We do encourage you to answer this one. There is an opportunity for you all to answer a question and be entered to receive a gift card in the last question. So if you have a minute, please fill out this poll. And again, for more information, visit durhamprek.org. Put it on your calendars that the online application is available starting on February the 8th, which is this upcoming Tuesday. And just complete the poll as you get a chance. And we thank you for joining us this morning for the Durham PreK Family Info Session. And we will reach out about our next session in April. And so as you complete the poll, please feel free to go ahead and log off, and we hope to see you again in April.